All right, everybody, welcome to episode 10 of the Game Time Gents podcast. That is correct, episode 10. You now need two full hands to count how many episodes we've done. It's me, your co-host Nardy, again, back with Zoltowski and Fish. And as always, we have some life updates first. Fish, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Absolutely. Some life updates. Just got back from a pretty good getaway weekend with a girlfriend. It was her birthday weekend, so big happy birthday to you, Andy. Yeah, we went to Lake Erie for this winery resort spa thing. It was fantastic. Hit a bunch of wineries up there. Had did some apple picking and some pear picking, which was pretty cool. It was nice and cool, weather-wise as well. And then just absolutely got a bunch of drinks from different wineries up there. Had my first massage, which was very interesting. We got a custom one. It was kind of like a free-for-all, do whatever you want, since I have zero clue what any of that stuff means, or if I check that one box, is that going to put me in a pretzel, kind of thing. Ended up being a deep tissue massage from, I shit you not, the actor that played the Incredible Hulk, but the CGI Incredible Hulk. It was not the actual actor. He came out, this massive buff dude, came out and he was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and work on Ian. I said, you don't have to, though. And then behind him, guy peered out of the shadows, is this guy, maybe $130 at max. He goes, I'm here for Andy. I was like, honestly, we could switch if you want. Like, I don't know what's going on, but he worked the hell out of me. His thumb raked down my spine a few times, so I'm still sore. So I got some pretty good stories to tell you guys on Sunday. You know how my story rant thing goes, but I'm gonna put you in my position. But it was good. I do it again. But not the deep tissue aspect. This guy, I must have pissed him off because he was destroying me. And at one point, he folded the blanket, and I couldn't move my upper body, so he could have done whatever he wanted. But outside of that, it was good. And then we drove back Sunday. AC in the car broke, so it was 94 degrees outside and 90 degrees in the car for 3.5 hours. So, it was a good time. Then we celebrated with her family, her and her brother. Ironically, had this, close enough birthdays. So we celebrated with them and then came back home. But overall, it was a very, very good, relaxing weekend. Unfortunately, we came back to work. So hopefully trying to retire early so we can do more of that. But no, overall, it was very, very good, very relaxing. That's the personal news that we got this week. And then on the football side of things, we did get an update on Rashid Rice. We don't know the extent of the injury, but it is a LCL repair. Most likely out for the season, but they won't know until they actually do surgery to see the extent of it. He might not be out for the season, but as of right now, it's looking like a good chance. So thank you, Patty Mahomes, for ruining a lot of fantasy championships this year. So, Zoltowski, what do you got going on?
Yeah, so Liz, Stamper, Arthur, Girl Stamper, and I all went to the Run Fair this weekend in Ohio, which is a lot of fun. Good little trial run for our Disney trip coming up, even though the weather will be a little bit cooler and the terrain will be a lot nicer. But that was a lot of fun. Always a fun time to go people watch, see all these people cosplaying out there. It was Viking weekend, so saw a ton of Vikings. Actually saw a guy who was in a wheelchair and he had a cardboard boat built around it, and that was really interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Got Arthur a sword, just a wooden one, not a real one, but got to teach him young. And
did you get him a flanker to bail?
I thought about it. I thought about getting him a little drinking horn because he needs one. But the sword is King Arthur. That's
pretty cool.
A little bit too small for the shield, but definitely going to go again next year, especially because he was, I saw him turning his head, just looking at people, looking at everything going on. So next year, and he was, dude, we put him down and he just wanted to run around. He is walking like a champ on all sorts of surfaces, which is awesome. But also, get to chase him around now, so I'll be getting even more steps in.
Get your cardio in for sure.
Yes, dude, cardio, man. I'm a cardio man. You know me.
Definitely
But
preparing for next season for football.
yep, you know what? The Browns, give me a call. I'm in Ohio right now.
Somebody.
I got the weight
Get
for
somebody
sure.
to call.
Just tone it, we'll be all right.
Easy, not easy.
Hey, look, we'll just we'll hit it big and we'll just throw the pot out there and I'll just start getting guests on here. It'll be a great time.
Have a good time.
But in the sports world, being a Detroit fan, my Tigers swept the Astros in the wild card and
Thank you.
yeah, tied it up 1-1 with Cleveland off that Kelly Carpenter 3-run bomb in the ninth. So excited to watch them play more baseball. I mean, that team has just been hot ever since the break. I think their playoff chances were 0.2% and the beginning of August and went on to clinch the wild card by a few games. I think it was like 2 games actually. So excited for more fall baseball. Playoff baseball is always the best. You see these guys making plays you never thought they could make. So, but that's it from me. Nut, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, the Guardians and the Tigers play tomorrow at 3, so
Yeah,
be interesting to see how that one turns out.
I will not be working at 3. I will be watching the game. I have told my manager this already. Write me up. It's fine.
In terms of personal news, I made affiliate on Twitch, so
Woo! Yeah,
pretty cool to hit that milestone. I had a really good group of people come in for my first affiliate stream and be very, very generous, way too generous, and they should have been, but that was pretty awesome to experience. Now, as for sports news, there was a lot of upsets in college football this weekend. That was pretty cool to see. Vanderbilt taking down Alabama.
oh, it's awesome.
You have Syracuse winning as well. SMU, Minnesota taking out USC. Arkansas took out, who did they take out again? Tennessee, that's right. So
yep.
A lot of shifting in that top 25 right now. And it kind of made me think, like, do you guys think that these teams are losing on purpose, but maybe they're not showing their entire self throughout the year just because they know that there's now 12 playoff spots and it's not like they have to be perfect the entire year?
I mean, I think that could be a little bit of it. But I mean, these are, you look at Vandy, Alabama, there's always, it's the SEC. There's always that inter conference rivalry between all those teams. You got number one coming to your house. You've got something to play for. They never took their foot off the gas, man. And I don't know what, because Alabama's always been a good football team. But I don't know what happened on Saturday. I mean, I'm happy about it. When Alabama loses, America wins. But Minnesota, I actually remember talking to Travis about that, and I was like, dude, I hope like this Minnesota game, they're gonna win, because watching them play Michigan, that's a good football team, and USC is just, I hate to say it, I sound like you hear it all the time, that these West Coast teams aren't used to the Big Ten smash mouth football that's played over here, and we'll talk about the one on Saturday coming up. The Big Ten one that I'm excited for. But you see a lot of that where it's like, oh, we're just going to throw the ball. And it's like, okay, we know you guys are going to throw the ball. We're just going to line up and, run it down your throat. But hey, guess what? We can also throw the ball. And then Tennessee, I saw the end of that game. I don't know what happened there. They had a chance to win it. And he ran out of bounds to end the game on a scramble.
Wild.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure what happened with that game either.
And then Texas A&M, I honestly, again, I saw that one come in Missouri. I watched them play Vanderbilt. They won in double overtime. They really hadn't played anybody. Didn't look too good. And Texas A&M looked like a real good football team. Good old Texas A&M, man. Them schools down in Texas, they're here this year.
Yeah, the funny thing is Tennessee and Alabama play against each other in 2 weeks. It's almost like they've completely just were looking over their matchups for this week and next week and game planning for that already.
Look, I'll mention it once and never again, but that is exactly what happened to Michigan when they lost to Appalachian State. Oh, it's a tune-up game. Oh, it's, they're not anything. It's like, no, dude, anybody can beat anybody.
Any given Saturday.
I mean, NIU and Notre Dame, there's been a ton this year.
Yeah, there's been quite a few.
Yeah,
And then Syracuse beat somebody as well. I should have had that pulled up, but I didn't.
Man,
Anyways,
you guys shouldn't have got rid of Kyle McCord. He's looking pretty good this year.
and Will Howard's still pretty good.
He is.
He's playing well, so.
I hate to say it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So next we have more on the NFL side. Big news today: Robert Saleh got fired. He was the Jets head coach. They did lose another game last week to the Vikings in London, and I guess they at least took him the plane ride home. But yeah, he's no longer the head coach of the Jets. I'm not sure. Has anyone been made interim coach, or have they decided that yet?
I think it's the defensive coordinator. Yeah, and I also heard that he showed up for work, and they're like, "Nah, you're fired," and walked him out like he didn't have a chance to say goodbye to the team or nothing. Like,
oh, so it was the Jamal Adams key fob gif when you get fired and you try and come back in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah,
that's bad for him.
Not a good look, though.
No.
Yeah, so Woody Johnson, the owner for the Jets, he said, this decision was mine and mine alone, and he's now starting to urge Hassan Reddick to come back to work. So
yeah, it's Jeff Ulbrich, the former University of Hawaii linebacker, is the interim head coach.
Okay, nice.
So, and he is their DC.
It's the backwards hat guy on the sideline, right?
Yes. Yes, that's him. He looks like he belongs in the WWE, honestly.
Right. Well, so did Salah, but anyways. Yeah. The last thing I had is more about injury news. Josh Allen, I was watching that game. He got hit, I think it was around the third quarter. He got annihilated near their sideline, and he fell asleep before he hit the ground. There's no way he didn't have a concussion, some sort of head trauma, and he was allowed back onto the field the next play. So I'm not sure why he was allowed to play, but that's pretty alarming. I know he's been like on an MVP race this year, but player safety should take precedent over everything else. And I just wanted to say I can't believe he was allowed to come back in and play.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. They kept replaying it, and like you said, Nut, he was out before he hit the ground. And
yeah, you could tell
there for a minute. Like, it's just somebody's got to do something. I don't know, the medical staff. I don't know. Like, yeah, I understand it's the premise of the game. He's the best option you have, but again, player safety. I mean, that's a little outrageous. This is like saying, "Hey, Tua, you can see kind of just go back out there for a little bit." Right. I mean, if he got hit again, if he got knocked out cold for a second time in that game, I mean, who knows the extent of the damage that could happen? I mean, it's very, very alarming. You know, that the risk outweighs the possibility of that reward there for winning. So it's just kind of wild to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I've also seen no one talking about it either. Like any of the sports talking heads, haven't seen anyone talking about that sequence at all.
Yeah, apparently he passed the protocol, and he's not in it now, but I also saw that he was offered smelling salts as he was coming out of the medical tent. I mean, that alone is like, hey, man, that's a problem right there.
Yeah.
All right, let me lock you in for this game, for the remainder of this one, but then, we'll go ahead and shut the lights off for the rest of the week for you.
Dude,
what are we doing?
Very alarming. It's a gnarly hit. It's always scary when you see someone slam their head on the turf, and you feel like he may have had some influence in that decision. You think he kind of coerced the medical staff and like, yo, just pass me, let me play. Like, I don't care. I want to go win the football game.
I'm sure he said something along those lines, but that's what those protocols are in place for. Like, you can't just balk at it whenever a superstar wants to come back onto the field.
Yes, it's just not good. I mean, no football player ever wants to go, oh, well, you're right. I can't go back in. No one's ever going to say that just because they're living in the moment, the anxiety, the anxiousness, the adrenaline going. I mean, he could have had a missing arm and a missing leg and be like, yeah, dude, I can definitely run for a little bit, I can throw a little bit.
You talk about Monty Python. It's just a flesh wound.
It's literally just a flesh wound. Yeah, I'm sure he had a little bit of influence, but at the same time, I mean, medical staff wise, coaching, yeah, hey, you're not good. There's plenty of season left in this year. We don't need to do something stupid and risk losing you for the season or damage you further into your life. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So
Well, you guys remember this is similar to what Casca did with that Tua situation. Like
mhm.
there was a time where he seemed to have a head injury, and they put him back in the game. And then I believe that's the first time he went into fencing position, and they pulled him out then. But you can see how fragile he is nowadays.
Yeah, no,
I mean-
you got to protect the head, man. I mean, you look at, I don't know, you just look at how they're trying to make these new helmets and allowing the Guardian caps to be worn during the game. Like, anytime you take a head hit like that, I mean, I wouldn't even risk it personally.
I'm surprised we're not seeing more Guardian caps yet.
I think we will.
Game.
I think next year we will. Maybe later through the season with, the couple head injuries we have seen already.
Yeah, I think it's going to take one or two big catastrophic, like, whoa, shit, that looked bad. That type of moments before everybody's like, nah, go ahead and get the Guardian cap,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of these. It's tough to avoid though. I mean, these players are a lot bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. I just don't know how we can make it, unless we put them all in those big bubbles and just watch them bounce around. I don't know. I mean, the Guardian cap thing. I mean, Jabril Peppers wore it, and he, that didn't work out. So there might have been pre-existing concussion there, but with all the latent news that he's got on him, but
Jabril Peppers.
That man's chalk.
He's in some hot water.
Oh God,
we're not even going to go into that today, but yeah, we digress on the injury talk. I mean, we've brought up injuries on this podcast a lot before, so just that's what kind of floored me about that whole situation is they just let him go ahead and play. So, all right. Anyways, we're going to get into our week 5 review. This is where we go into our surprises, our heroes and zeros, and then our concern for the week 5 matchups, and then we will also go into our week 6, or for Zoltaski, week 7, because he's picking college games again.
College football all the way, baby. You can't tell me I didn't pick a good game this week.
No, I think we all picked good games again. So
yeah, we did. Yeah,
keep on that track.
Thursday night game was fantastic.
Yeah, but if you guys don't mind, I would like to go last with my fantasy zero because it is going to lead into my concern. And I promise the listeners this week is the last week you will hear the Cleveland Browns as my concern because I don't care anymore.
So I hope you're right. I'll kick it off if you guys don't mind. Just because my surprise was something we've already talked about, but the upset weekend, man, in college football, number 1 goes down to an unranked 2-2 team. Bama loses to Vandy. That's like Nut says. Tennessee lost to Arkansas. USC went to Minnesota, and the one that hurts the most is Michigan loses to Washington.
So I didn't mention that one earlier.
It's fine. It happens. We're hurting this year. I'm already just praying to God that we find something against Ohio State because I don't need to hear it at work. I don't need to hear it from you. But college football is just always an emotional roller coaster. And but I mean, for this many top 10 teams to go down in one weekend, it's just absolute chaos, and I'm here for it. The college football playoffs is going to be really interesting. You're going to see a ton of 2-loss teams in there, I think. And it's the season's already halfway over, and I mean, I just can't wait to see what other chaos is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to see another week where, like you said, a bunch of top 10 teams lose or top 25 teams lose, but it was definitely a week that shook stuff up for sure.
Oh yeah.
And Fish, I know you're not really a college football guy, so why don't you tell us what your weekly surprise was?
Yeah, weekly surprise. It kind of goes in tandem here. Etienne has struggled this year for where he's being drafted with in the first round. Sometimes even the top 5 picks, depending on what your dynasty or your fantasy lineup looks like in the league structure. But this week he went six rushes for 17 yards. He did catch 6 receptions on 7 targets for 43 yards. He did go out with an injury for just a small little bit. He got popped pretty good, and that shoulder kind of jarred loose a little bit. But the biggest surprise here is Tank Bigsby. Last week he went 7 rushes for 90 yards. This week almost replicated it, going 13 carries for 101 yards for 2 touchdowns and 1 reception, 28 yards. As a fantasy manager of Etienne, it is a little concerning that Etienne, what he did last year and the year before, absolute dominant force. Now Tank, obviously they drafted Tank there to be the backup. Typically, you don't draft a running back that high to just be a backup. Now we're starting to see him kind of carve into the timeline. Tank this week did rip off a 65-yard touchdown. The explosiveness is there. For
a nice play.
He looks hungry. He's running with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, Etienne just can't produce on the ground right now, and it's a surprise, to be honest. You see a lot of big name backs that are being drafted early that are just not playing up to their caliber. Ramondre Stevenson being drafted very, very late, although he's got a fumbling problem, has outshined most of these big name guys week in, week out. My fantasy surprise is got to be Tank Bigsby this week. I mean, if he keeps going forward, staying hot, I mean, you got to give the rock to the hottest player, and right now it's Tank. Especially if they're down behind or if they need that explosiveness, that energy to get the team going. Last couple weeks, Etienne has not delivered and has not looked explosive, but Tank has. So hopefully you guys got the handcuff and Tank Bigsby. I'm not saying we have to sit Trevor or Travis Etienne, but I mean, might be worth playing both of them at the same time because obviously both are going to get the carries. And if Etienne goes out with another shoulder injury or an ankle or anything like that, pretty good hands with Tank there. So that's my surprise this week. It was a little shocking to see the stats there, not only this week but last week as well. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, he runs like a man possessed. He's going for the end zone every time he gets that ball, and you can just see it when he runs.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with Pacheco too. Before he went, I mean, he runs like somebody stole money from him.
Yeah,
it's aggressive, and we just don't see a lot. We don't see a lot of that running style anymore with backs nowadays. But yeah, I mean that's my surprise. Damn good surprise. So,
Doug Peterson did confirm that Etienne did suffer a shoulder injury on Sunday. So that's why he didn't play much in the second half. They didn't really want to risk him getting hurt again, even though he did play a little bit. But you're right, dude. Tank Bigsby really just stepped up and kind of seized that opportunity. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward, that split there.
I mean, honestly, I could see it being just like the Lions, what they're doing now. I mean, both of them are fairly good receiving backs. Both can obviously run the rock, but I mean, it's just you're just playing the hottest hand right now. In the last 2 weeks, it's been Tank. So, I mean, see him getting 15-plus carries and Etienne around 15 to 20. I could see it being a little bit more of an even split, especially right now. So, going into week 6. Week 6.
Jags finally
Week
got
6.
a dub.
Jags finally got a dub. Big dub there.
I did not think it would be them to be the last team to get a dub this year. But yeah, I love a good 1-2 punch, man. Love a good 1-2 punch. Hat on a hat, follow the asses all day. Wins football games.
Follow the asses.
When's that t-shirt being made?
Soon. Keep your eyes peeled.
Keeping them peeled, dude.
I need like 6 sewn together so I can wear one.
Yeah, 6
right,
got it.
right, yeah.
Yeah. All right, no, what do you got?
All right, so my surprise for week 5 is tight end usage. Week 5 seems to be the week that the tight ends really broke out, especially for fantasy football. There are multiple double-digit tight end scorers. I'm looking at looks like around 20 here, from 10 points to 26 points. The leader of that being Brock Bowers. It's a lot of young guys as well. So you have your more reliable tight ends like Kittle and Kelsey that you can rely on, but Brock Bowers, Tucker Kraft, the kid from Green Bay, who kind of broke out last week. Isaiah Likely is a absolute red zone target for Lamar Jackson. And Kyle Pitts actually had a pretty good game this week. So hopefully we see tight ends get a little more integrated into game plans. What I will say is it seems like the Ravens are just spawning in tight ends so that, Mark Andrews doesn't get any touches at all. Some tight end named Charlie Kohler had 4 targets, 3 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown this week against the Bengals. So
his jersey sales went up.
Never seen him play before.
Yeah, who?
He's had some sort of snap percentage. He's had 6 targets on the entire year, 4 of them coming from that Cincinnati game. So congratulations, Charlie Kohler.
I mean, Andrews must have done something to piss somebody off, right? There's no way that you go from a dominant. But do you think age is a factor? Like that bad of a decline for him?
He still led the tight ends for Baltimore in snap percentage.
He must
he
be
had
good
55. Let me see what Likely had.
Is he just
Likely had 71? So
are they
run a lot of 2 tight end sets?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they running a lot of two tight ends and then they're just using Andrews as a decoy? Because
I just don't think Andrews is getting open like Isaiah Likely is.
I mean, Isaiah Likely is a freak of an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy can easily. Who, Likely or Andrews? Andrews, right?
Andrews.
Yeah, I Likely could definitely easily play a wide receiver at this point. The way he moves and the way he cuts, that guy's crazy. So I mean, they definitely got a steal on that one for sure. But I think you're right. I saw a couple of videos of him, Andrews training in the offseason. I mean, he was getting ready. He looked good. He looked sharp, and then I just don't know if it's translating onto the field. I don't know. Maybe the younger backs and stuff like that are catering to him and playing that zone, and they don't really need to go man-to-man on him that much, and it's just easy to read. I don't know. Something's going on there. Something's not right, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're just getting more players involved. I mean, Zay Flowers had a big game as well during that game, so Lamar's got other options now when he used to just be able to rely on Mark Andrews. That could be a part of it as well.
I mean, it's also true when Derrick Henry takes at least 25 to 30 touches a game. I mean, that's 25 to 30 opportunities to possibly throw it. So
and you have Justice Hill too. So
yeah, he's looking good too this year. So
but yeah, speaking of players that are looking good, let's get into our fantasy heroes this week. Fish, you want to get it off?
Absolutely. So I couldn't narrow mine down as a fantasy hero for just one player, right? And we've seen a positive trend the last couple weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the whole team, specifically more the offense. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Bears offense is my fantasy hero this week. Caleb Williams, last couple weeks, has looked very, very good. Almost as good as what everybody hyped him up to be. First couple weeks was a little rusty, obviously brand new to the NFL. The guys that he's playing against are insanely faster, bigger, quicker, whatever it may be. They're smarter than college players. I think he's starting to realize that you can't solely put everything on him to do these crazy, elaborate, I'm going to run around this way and then lead the defense over here and then throw a deep bomb for a touchdown. It just doesn't translate into the NFL. The last couple of weeks that we've seen him, he's been a lot more composed, looking for the right targets, not taking that extended risk, but looking for the checkdowns as well. It also helps that they've kind of established a running game. So C. Wills, his stat line from this past week, 20 completion on 29 attempts for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 carries for 34 yards, which he's known to use his legs as well. But the biggest thing here is 0 turnovers. Now, cater to this, though, the run game has been there. Swift has awakened. He's ascended since last week. This week, he ran 21 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown, and then 2 receptions for 47 yards. So that definitely helps. They can't load the box anymore. They can't blitz as often, especially since Swift is such a dangerous pass-catching back. Swift is now finding those holes. He's getting that energy, getting that momentum and the confidence to go ahead and shoot the gaps there. But it also helps that you have receivers like DJ Moore for 5 receptions on 8 targets for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Granted, they were playing a very struggling Jags team, but all in all, the Bears are trending in the right direction. Fantasy wise, they've exploded into a top 10 NFL offensive side team, and they're hot right now. Not only takes Keenan Allen and Dunze to get started to really awaken the possibilities and kind of what we all anticipated with that stacked lineup, especially with Cole Kmet being their tight end as well. I mean, that team offensively is stacked, and they should be putting up 30+ points a game, and it seems to kind of be trending that way. But it all stems on Caleb. If he can stay composed, stay in the pocket, do what he needs to do, not go for these high risk plays. You don't need to throw the ball 100 yards down the field for that one shot. It's okay to ticky tack and get down the field and pick the right plays and the right players to throw it to. He's got to trust his team. That's what he's doing right now. So that's my fantasy heroes of the week, the Bears offense.
Yeah, he seems a lot more confident for sure this week. And that's just going to help the rest of the team as well. So good pick for that fish, Caleb Williams. That's who I'm probably going to put on the graphic there for you.
Absolutely. He's the commander of that side, so he's the captain.
We'll just see what happens when they play the Lions.
Yeah, when he torches you for 400 yards.
He might, but
speaking of torching people, Soltowski, let's look at your fantasy hero.
Oh, fantasy hero. I had this one in very early after that Thursday night game. We got old Kirko Chains. Kirk Cousins is the fantasy hero. He went 42 for 58, threw for 509 yards, a franchise record, had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception, and then was swag surfing with the crowd at the end of the game. I mean, he looked good. He was sitting in that pocket, he was making good throws, making good plays, making the right decisions, and just picking apart that defense. Looked like the Kirk Cousins of old. And I think he's finally starting to click with this new offense that he's around. Finally finding his stride. And if he keeps this up, I mean, that Falcons team's going to be scary, man. They get Drake London. Like you said, Kyle Pitts, he plays for the Falcons. Yes, sorry, I don't know why I blanked for a second there, but he was getting usage, and then they got Bijan in the backfield who can also catch the ball. So I mean, that team's.
You're forgetting one key player there, though. The one key player, Darnell Mooney. That guy has absolutely shined since going to the Falcons. And it's crazy because Bijan has not played up to his potential. But for what they're doing right now, and London looks sharp, Mooney looks good, Kyle Pitts is getting some love there too. God, can you imagine if Bijan finally awakens there as well? I mean, that's going to be a dangerous combo, which, again, into the season, we kind of hope that would happen. But of course, it takes a minute for everybody to get used to everybody. So I'm glad Cuddy looks like old Kirk Cuddy out there.
Yep, coming back strong from that injury last year. Like I said, he keeps this up, man. It's gonna be a scary team.
Yep.
But
I was gonna say, I think there's still a missing persons report out there for Bijan Robinson.
There might be.
I've issued a few. So.
But hey, I mean, I'm here for it, man. I love good quarterback play. Love watching. Especially when he played for the Vikings, hated playing against him because, god damn, was he good then? And he looks good now. So,
yep, it's a problem.
He's my fantasy hero for the week. But talking about catching or throwing the ball and catching the ball, Nutter,
a rival.
Oh, yeah, this one's shocking. Honestly,
this has got to hurt. This has got to hurt him.
This one does hurt, but. Got to give credit where it's due. Jamar Chase is my fantasy hero this week. He caught 10 passes on 12 targets, almost went for 200 yards, and had 2 touchdowns. The thing I really wanted to talk about with him is he took a 70-yard long touchdown to the house, and he broke a record doing that. He broke Odell Beckham's record for the most touchdowns of 60-plus yards or more under the age of 25. So he has had 10 of those long touchdowns over 60 yards, and he is still 24 years old, and he does not turn 25 until March 1st of 2025. So it's going to be interesting to see how many more of those he gets. he really does seem like he's always open. I'm not sure if it's just something that they're scheming there. I know that the Ravens' pass defense is not what it used to be, but Jamar Chase was wide open this week, and he also made some great plays after he caught the ball. He definitely had the wiggle out there this week, getting eluding tackles, breaking some ankles. So I hate to say it was pretty fun to watch.
Whoa, dude!
Opposed to what my team was doing.
Are you jumping ship already, huh?
I'm not jumping any ship. Not jumping any ship, but that was a great thing to watch. It's just nice to see a receiver that can catch a ball.
Yeah, thanks, Amari. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyways, let's get into some fantasy zeros. Like I said, I'd like to be the one to go last, but it looks like you both have receivers for fantasy zeros. So, Zoltowski, why don't you take it away, buddy?
Yeah, so I'm going to go for my zero this week is a guy who normally has a lot of production, a lot of, breaks off some big plays. A DK Metcalf. He went, 4 catches, 55 yards, and for the second week in a row now has lost a fumble. I remember the week prior when they were playing the Lions, he was fighting for extra yardage. Only had one hand on the ball. Defender comes in, punches the ball out, and they return it, get in the red zone, score a touchdown. You got to protect the ball. I know they have a good run game too there with Kenny Walker being back. But I mean, I always start him because and I know they have Tyler Lockett and what's the other guy's name over there?
Jackson Smith.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yep. That's a fun one to say.
Ohio State product.
Oh, that's why I can't say it. But wide receiver university, man. But always normally looks good, but he's got to protect the ball there. I mean, you can't turn the ball over. Once it's cost me as a manager points, which I got absolutely blown out this week. The team just did not perform as a whole, but he definitely did not help. So hopefully he can fix his fumble problem and get some more targets, get some more yards, and maybe score a couple more touchdowns.
Which is kind of surprising because DK, I feel like he could be utilized as that possession back, right? I feel like he either puts up 38 points or he gets 2 points. He's that very streak down the field, catch that long ball. Okay, he's good for the day kind of thing. You figure with a guy that size and his ability to do any type of jump ball that he wants to catch whatever he wants, a quick slant over the middle. I mean, try to tackle a man that size coming full force. You figure it's gonna be tough, but I'm not a coach, but it just something doesn't make any sense there, But I like to see him get utilized just a little bit more instead of just being a deep ball threat. But
he had some nice out routes against the Lions where he's making sideline catches because he's got that reach and he's got that size to where he hey, throw the ball over a little bit over here where only I can get it and I'll toe tap it in because he's still a very athletic guy. Make him the first. You need a first down. And you got long yardage. Throw the ball to DK instead of just say, "Hey, run far that way, catch it." I think it was last year when they played the Cowboys. He caught that 75-yard bomb and ran 23 miles an hour or something insane.
Yeah, but I like to see that in the middle too. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it seems like Geno Smith just might have short-term memory loss because I'm looking here at his stat sheet. Week 1, he has 4 targets. Week 2, he has 14 targets. Week 3, he had 6 targets. Week 4, he had 12 targets. Week 5, he has 7 targets. So maybe next week is another week you can play him where he's going to get those double-digit targets like he deserves. So
start him next week.
I'm not sure Geno Smith just forgets he has DK Metcalf. I mean, he couldn't have this week because his snap percentage was 100%. He was on the field for every play that the offense ran, but
yeah, and he's still getting 80% or more of the snaps. Week 1, 88, then 87, 83, 81. I mean, he's in a lot of their sets that they run. But no, yeah, it's a roller coaster ride of emotions being a manager of DK Metcalf. Is he gonna get 3 or get 2 long touchdowns, or are they gonna throw him the ball 6 times and they're all gonna be short passes?
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not a manager of him. I could not contain my emotions of that. So
I've thrown my phone multiple times because of him. So thanks, DK.
speaking of throwing phones and having my own emotional roller coasters, Zoltowski,
Oh,
you mind if
boy.
I take it over?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Fish. All you, bud.
Beautiful. My fantasy 0. Big L7 weenie. This team has been obviously riddled with injuries. You figure, okay, some of the veterans on the team need to step up. This is the perfect opportunity. With CMC being out, Jordan Mason in, the receiving core, Ayuk not playing to his fullest potential, especially after the big contract he did this past week, which good to see him back on the train tracks there. But Deebo Samuels. This guy being the vet on the team, supposedly number 1 to number 2, runs out of the backfield as well, is just a multiple threat anywhere. Very tough to bring down, especially if he catches a quick slant or anything screen pass wise. That guy breaks tackles, yards after catch is insane. This week he had 3 rushes for 9 yards and one reception on 3 targets for a whopping 11 yards. His previous week, he was targeted 5 times and only caught 3 for 58. The only game this year that he's had more than 5 receptions and over 100 yards was week 2 against Minnesota, which is kind of surprising with that power offense there. Again, I don't know what's going on with that team. They lost this week to the Cardinals 24-23. Something's going on there. Offense is not clicking. I don't know if it's the OC or the head coach or what's going on play calling wise. But wherever the lackluster play from one player is, obviously someone else has benefited. And just kind of want to give a shout out to Ayuk being back on track. He went 8 for 12 for 147 yards. So again, hopefully he keeps that trending in the right direction. I know it's one of those guys, him and Deebo. It's almost extremely tough, just like DK. You can't really sit them because at any week they could pop off for 26 points. But Deebo has had a trend. I don't know if he's aging past his prime or whatever it may be, or the play calling, but something's not sitting right with him. I don't know if it's the several podcasts that him and Ayuk are joining. They're not really focusing on football. Maybe it's his mouth that he keeps trash talking ever since they beat the Eagles a couple years ago. It's been relentless on Twitter and such. So that's my fantasy 0 this week. It is extremely tough to continue to start him and watch him only get like 3 points a week when I could have started Darnell Mooney, who pops off for 26. So big shout out Darnell. But yeah, it's tough to watch that 49ers offense from what they've been the last couple of years. And I understand it's injuries, but injuries can only be the excuse so far, especially with the team that they have with, it seems like, Pro Bowlers and, all-stars left and right. Something's got to change because that defense is looking rough too. They're just not clicking. They're not running on all cylinders. So that's my fantasy 0, Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, with the injury statement. Yeah, that team's banged up, but, I mean, it's pretty much been the same since week 1, especially on the offensive side. So, by now we got to have some sort of scheme figured out to get these guys something. But yeah, no, he's one guy. I mean, 3 targets.
3 targets this week, 1 reception for 11 yards. So, Task, I'm telling you, get a jersey, get out there, and you can get 12 yards, no problem. You'll blow out your knee, but you'll get 12 yards.
I got the braces somewhere, man. Just put me in tight end. I'll pancake a guy and then catch a pass or something.
Yeah, you're gonna pancake a guy. Got it.
I'm gonna give it my all.
You know what? You gotta have heart, Nick Sirianni. You gotta have heart.
I'm gonna have more heart than Nuts Fantasy 0.
Ooh,
I'm ready for this.
I'm excited for this one. Viewers, listeners, you guys got 24 hours to listen to this or what?
So I do want to say one thing about the 49ers. They're surprising 2-3, but yeah, I kind of can't believe that they've lost 3 games already this year with all that talent that they have.
Yep.
But anyways, you talk about talent, you talk about the Cleveland Browns. That kind of goes hand in hand. Our roster looks to be one of the best, and my fantasy 0 is the leader of that roster, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun has been pretty underwhelming ever since he's come back into the league after his issues in Houston. If you just want to call them issues, but this week specifically, he was 15 for 28, only 125 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he rushed 3 times for 14 yards, and had gotten sacked 7 times for 33 yards. So, yeah, if you're looking at the net yardage for him on this week, it's 108 yards. And I should have done the math on how much money 108 yards cost the Cleveland Browns for week 5, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
How much does he make? Because I'm curious and I want to do it.
$36 million guaranteed.
Oof.
His contract. But yeah, this is going to lead straight into my concern for going forward, the past, the present, the future of the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson has not passed for 200 yards this year. He's only passed for 200 yards, I think, twice throughout his time in Cleveland. Let me just vet that real quick. No, he's done it a few times. He's never had 300 yards since he's been a Brown. He has played 17 games in 3 years, including the game from Sunday. He has 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions on his career with the Browns. Going back to this season, he has the 7th worst completion percentage. He's only averaging 4.8 yards per attempt, and he has the lowest QBR in the league for starting quarterbacks at 21, and that's on a 100-point scale. 2 of the weeks he's had an 8 QBR, and that was this past week, I believe, and week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I say all that to say this is my concern with the Browns. It seems like he's lost it. It seems like he doesn't have what he had in Houston. I'm not sure if that's an offensive scheme issue. I'm not sure if that is I already have the money, so who gives a fuck anymore issue. But here is the biggest issue that's going on is the Browns are committed to him. Kevin Stefanski, I personally believe it's Kevin Stefanski with a gun to his back from the owner, but he has said in a press conference already that the Browns are not moving on from Deshaun Watson. He will be their quarterback going forward. And there's 3 more years at least on this deal. And it's going to throw us into hell. I mean, we're not going to have a competitive team if this continues for the next 5 years. The fans are calling for Jameis. Talking heads at ESPN, NFL Network, Fox Sports, they're all calling for Jameis just to see if this is truly a Kevin Stefanski coaching issue, 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, by the way, in the past 4 years, or if this is a Deshaun Watson issue. And I personally think it's a Deshaun Watson issue, but I think Kevin Stefanski's hands and Andrew Berry's hands and the rest of this roster's hands are tied because the owner, Jimmy Haslam, is involved more than he should be. You've seen evidence of that back when he forced the GM to draft Johnny Football, and that is from the Untold Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, whatever the hell it's called, on Netflix documentary.
Great documentary.
He forced him to be drafted to the Cleveland Browns. Now I say that, and I've been saying ever since we got Deshaun, there's 52 guys on the roster. And I'm just going to read some names of some guys of careers that we are wasting letting this guy be the quarterback of the Browns. Now, these are all guys I picked off the roster that are impactful, and they're over the age of 28. Rodney McLeod, Charlie Hewlett, Dustin Hopkins, Shelby Harris, Zadarius Smith, Jordan Hicks, Jordan Akins, Dalvin Tomlinson. I'm getting fucking pissed reading these names. Amari Cooper, Jack Conklin, Ethan Pochich, Ogbo Ankarankwo, David Njoku, Juan Thornhill, and last but not least, this is the Mount Rushmore of the Browns for the past 4 years, excluding a guy who used to play quarterback here that is now killing it for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, and Nicholas Jamal Chubb. Those guys are all 28 and older.
Full name.
Those guys are all going to be 31 by the time this fuck's goddamn contract is over, and we have to do something. Stefanski, come out and say something during the press conference. Say that you're being held hostage with your job, that you're going to lose it if you admit that the owner's involved in this. I mean, it's horrible. This team sucks, and it's because of the quarterback. Nobody wants to play for this guy. I mean, there was a GIF I posted on Twitter last year. There was a sequence in a Browns game where they all pushed the pile for a first down. Nobody's doing that now. Nobody's catching the ball. Nobody's blocking. You see all these screenshots of guys Watson's missing. You know, he's holding the ball for 4 seconds every time he drops back. It's got to be over. I mean, it's not working out. So you're wasting these guys' careers, the rest of these guys' careers, because you want to force this deal to work when it should have never been made in the first place. So that's my concern. I mean, you guys can take away the rest of it, but
how many quarterbacks did you guys have at the end of last year after Deshaun got hurt?
We started 5 quarterbacks last year. So we started PJ Washington, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Deshaun Watson. There's another one I can't even remember, and Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is tearing it up right now. Also, we don't have much of a running game at the moment, and it's great just to see Kareem Hunt balling out with the Chiefs. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's coming from a team that went 131-1. This hurts worse. This hurts so much worse. We were a playoff team 270 days ago. And this is the product that is being put out on the field with roughly the same guys. You know, interchange a couple that are not super impactful. And how are we shitting all over ourselves this bad?
I don't know. I feel like you're right. I feel like it's got to be ownership. I mean, there's no way that you look at last year. Like I said, you started 5 quarterbacks. You guys made the playoffs, and Deshaun's only 9-7 or 9-8. Sorry, because 17. He's just over 500, and
I can't believe he's over 500.
I know, right? But because they didn't have a choice to play someone else. And when they played someone else, the team was successful.
Yeah, I looked up the stat. I don't know how many yards he has, but Joe Flacco's averaging over 300 yards in his last however many starts he had with us and the Colts. So that's something interesting as well.
I mean, something's got to change, or you guys are going to lose every game for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be angry all the time, and that's just no fun.
And it's not going to matter because we're not going to have money to pay anybody. And then we're going to end up trading this list of players for picks, especially those last 4. Miles, Joel, Wyatt, and Nick. They're all going to get moved. And it's going to suck.
Yep.
It's going to suck bad. Anyways, that will be my last time having the Cleveland Browns as a concern. Sorry that took long. But Fish, why don't you go into your concern for the 2020, or I'd say 2024, but for week 6 and on.
Yeah, go ahead, go get a breath, take a water. I don't know, get a drink, take a shot. I'll talk about the Browns next week for my concerns. But this week's concerns is one player specifically. I want to talk about Justin Fields. They showed a lot of Russell Wilson on sidelines, pacing, walking back and forth. TV and a lot of people keep talking about it. Justin Fields had looked good, decently to good the last 4 weeks. I know they have lost 2 games in a row. Again, he looks like Jalen Hurts out there. There's no emotion when he gets sacked, when he throws an interception, when he loses a fumble. He just jogs to the sidelines. He looks defeated. I think it's only a matter of time that Russ steps in there, Steeler Nation, let's ride, and kind of do what a lot of these other teams are doing, is kind of mixing things up, shaking it up a little bit. We saw it with Anthony Richardson with the Colts. Granted, he got hurt, but we don't know the extent of that injury. Flacco has obviously balled out. I think a lot of these teams are just trying to look for that change in atmosphere. I don't think that they're using Justin Fields the way that they should be using him. Justin is very, very good at running. He hasn't had that many attempts at running, a few design plays, but everyone can read that from a mile away. Najee Harris has not been the greatest. Fields this past week, he went 15 of 27, again for another low passing yardage for 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 6 rushes for 27 yards. I'm not saying he needs to run it for 13, attempts, or anything like that, but that's his game. That's his play style. We watched the game this week, and there was a lot of extremely open ball players, Pickens being open, and a few others, and it's just simple misses. As an NFL quarterback, it just doesn't make any sense. And again, overall, he's been playing decently since he was named the starting quarterback. But his best week coming against Indy last week. But Cowboys obviously missing the big playmakers this week in Dexter Lawrence and Micah Parsons. But without those 2 guys, you expect the Cowboys not to be able to rush that much, but they got to him. Again, the whole team just looks defeated. Offensive line doesn't really seem to be blocking that much, a lot of penalties. And again, I think just like the Browns, I think in what the Eagles are doing right now, it stems with the quarterback. They feed off that emotion. We can't be going 50% or under throwing wise, accuracy wise, and be able to pump up the team. We know that a lot of the receivers and running backs, a lot of them are like, they feed off that energy. A lot of them are somewhat divas. But it's tough when you get 10 targets and you only catch 2 balls because the other 8 are nowhere around you. His best week, again, like I said, coming off from Indy, he went 22 of 34 for 312 yards and a touchdown. And again, 10 rushes for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked very good. He did lose 1 fumble, but that's okay. Fantasy-wise, he popped off for 31.98 in most of dynasties and fantasy outputs leagues elsewhere. But it just, I don't know. I'm very concerned with Justin Fields. We heard that he was named the starter. It sounded great. Okay, maybe it wasn't the Bears. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was the Bears. It was the offensive coordinator. They didn't have enough weapons, so on and so forth. Well, it's tough to keep that excuse going when it's the same Justin Fields that he was with the Bears, now it's translated to the Steelers. It's just missing big targets, and we've seen a lot from a lot of these younger quarterbacks just not having the accuracy outside of Jaden Daniels, who has been phenomenal. But I don't know. I kind of want to hear what you guys' thoughts were. Does he retain the starting job next week, the week after? Does he lose it? Is Russ going to shake things up? Is he going to go back to Seattle Russ and ball out, or is he going to be Denver Russ? I kind of want to get your thoughts on it.
I mean, who's the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh? Do you guys know?
God, I can't remember.
I'll look it up real quick.
I got it real quick.
It's Arthur Smith from the Falcons. He was the head coach of the Falcons last year, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah, and they fired him.
It's just so up and down. So up and down with him.
No, I mean, this team, they started out 3-0. Defense looked really, really good. like you said, he had a fantastic week against Indy. He was looking to be the quarterback everyone thought he was going to be when he went to the Bears. I think he retains the starting job at least for this week. And then I think if he, just still is in that slump, I think they're going to throw Russ in there. And if I'm going off of last year with how Russ did in Denver, I don't know if there's going to be much change there. Maybe he's got this drive now. He's looking at a job to a younger guy. He got traded, and now I got to prove myself again. I was the guy, but now I'm not. So it'll be interesting to see who do the Cowboys play this week.
But do you think that? Sorry, go ahead, Nut.
I think that they're probably gonna roll with Fields still. I mean, they're what, 4-2? Is that correct? Or are they 5-1?
They're 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2.
Oh, 3-2.
3-2.
There's only been 5 games. You're right. So I know that they lost this week. This week's kind of a hard one to judge quarterback play on, just because there was a really big storm before the game. They probably couldn't get much footing. But in terms of pass catchers, Steelers don't have anyone. People want to argue George Pickens is, some amazing player. He's not shown that really ever. I don't think personally. He's got a pretty bad attitude when he's on the field. I mean, you saw what happened at the end of the game last week. He was amazing in college, but I mean, he's shown a couple flashes in the NFL, but I think you saw that with the Steelers going after Ayuk so hard at the beginning of the year. They just don't have the receiving core, or, Pat Fryermuth's a great tight end, but, at the end of the day, he's still a tight end. So he's not and he's not Gronk or anybody. He's not going to burn a bunch of people, but I think Fields gives them the best chance to win just because of his mobility factor. They do a lot of design runs with him, and usually it pans out pretty well. This week was his his second best yards per carry, but again, they just didn't run the ball a lot with him because I honestly truly believe they didn't want him to get hurt out there with how slippery the field was and stuff. But yeah, I just think that they'll still rock with Fields. If Russell comes in, you lose that rushing ability for the most part. He's not really. I know he's semi-mobile, but he's not what Fields is at all.
No, but the accuracy goes up a little bit in theory, you would think, right? I mean,
yeah, maybe a little bit, but maybe.
Well, you got Warren. He would come back from injury. Then you got the dual threat there with him and Najee. I don't know. I think it kind of stems down into who's going to win that locker room. And again, the fumbles that Fields has, the interceptions. I know we joke about Russ, and his, winning the locker room type thing when he did with Denver and such. But again, there's just no emotion coming. There's no anger. There's no happiness. He just walks off like he's just playing the game, going through the motions.
If you're talking about winning the locker room, Russ is not that guy. Go back to interviews I've heard from his teammates when they were winning in Seattle. I mean, there's an interview out there from Marshawn Lynch. I wish I remembered who it was with, but he couldn't even get a hold of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson gave him the name of his people. Like, Russ is not. He's a brand himself. He's not. We don't know who Russell Wilson truly is. I believe that. He always says the right things and all that stuff, but for us to know who he is, and for his team to know who he is, I don't believe that anyone is really his friend on the team, anything like that. Now, this is all speculation, of course, but I think Justin Fields would be able to get guys to rally around him more than Russell would. That's my personal take on it, though. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was the Club Shay Shay podcast he did an interview on with Shannon Sharp, where he talked about how
I think he's talked about it a couple times.
Yeah, this one, I mean, the quote is right there in the description, is Russell Wilson was just a QB for me. I don't have his number.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk about And this goes back to a couple weeks ago when we talked about how Andy Dalton stepped in and the Panthers looked great. And yeah, they were playing, a Raiders team that's been struggling, but still, I mean, if you can go out and you can win your team, especially as, the leader, the quarterback, you're might not be calling the shots, but you're making all the decisions. You have the ability to audible. You're looking at your defenses. You want to get behind a guy who has the drive and the fight, who wants to go out there and win. They're not just showing up play by play and they're just, oh, hey, I'm going to throw the ball this time. I'm going to hand it off to my running back. I think I'm going to throw it again.
Yeah, and the big thing with Justin, he doesn't really turn the ball over. I mean, when he fumbles, it's usually out of bounds because he's running toward the sideline anyway. He's only thrown one pick on the year and he's lost one fumble. I think he gives you the best chance to win. And even if we don't see the passion, I believe it's still there. I can recall at least one video of him this year throwing his helmet down in frustration. I'm sure it was in that Chargers game after he threw that pick. But there's just been a lot of stories to come out about Russell Wilson. There was a game, I think it was when he was with the Broncos. They went over to London or some overseas game where he wasn't even playing. He was doing like calisthenics on the plane. I remember Pat McAfee talking about that, and it was just, I don't know, kind of weird. So I think if they want to keep winning, they'll keep with Justin Fields, but maybe they'll do some sort of 2 QB thing where, they'll let Justin throw. Maybe most of the times he comes in, he'll do a design run, but he's lethal throwing the ball too. I think.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing a dual system or a dual quarterback system in the NFL. I think that'd be very interesting there.
Yeah.
Especially if you have one like Justin that can run or throw the ball. It's like, hey, what's he going to do this time?
I'm usually against dual quarterbacks, but I think in that situation it could work.
I think it could work. But speaking of quarterbacks, I'd like to get into my concern, if you guys don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
It is October, which means that the new Call of Duty comes out in a couple weeks. So bench Kyler, because the addiction might start again, and we might be seeing a drop in his production and performance because Black Ops 6 is looking pretty good. But all jokes aside, my true concern is I hate to bring it up again, but it's injuries. I mean, you got this week, we talked about the Josh Allen hit and that he took and how he smacked his head on the turf. You look at the Browns. I mean, that list on the Browns. I know we said we were going to talk about them, but I mean that thing is a mile long, and they added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more this week, and another offensive lineman. And Njoku got hurt again. He's going to get an MRI in his knee. A-Chain had a concussion. For the Dolphins, it's already a hurt team with Tua being out, not having a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers just suffered a low ankle sprain, but still, he had that big injury last year. You had, Nico's week to week with a hamstring injury. Aaron Jones is getting an MRI in his hip, and he's week to week. I mean, as a manager, my teams are starting to become a cavalcade of where I'm going to have to beg you, Fish, to increase the IR spots for our league. And then, in my league that I am commissioned, is just increase them because, I mean, this is crazy. I've never seen injuries this early in the season hit so many teams. We talked about the 49ers. The Seattle's defense, they're pretty banged up. Tampa Bay's defense has been pretty banged up. It's just all over. I think maybe the Lions even, Ragnar was out with a pectoral issue, and I think they've gotten away unscathed, knock on wood. But injuries this year are on the upswing highly. But on the opposite side of that, as unfortunate as that is, we're seeing these other players, like we talked about Tank Bigsby kind of stepping into that role and getting his time to shine. We're seeing Joe Flacco come back again, and I mean, he had a fantastic game. He went 33 for 44 for 359 yards and 3 TDs. He did lose a fumble, however, that one wasn't 100% his fault. His lineman didn't do his job, and he was looking the other way, and next thing you know, ball's out of his hands because he's getting ready to throw it. So, I hate to see the injuries, but on the one bright side in this situation is being able to see these other players kind of come in. These Jordan Mason, best running back in the league for the 49ers over there. I know we said that a lot in the first couple weeks. How
many yards did Flacco have this week?
359 yards.
Man,
I know it's okay. It's not, but it is. But we're just seeing. Hell, I mean, I think I saw where Roethlisberger was at the Indy game, and he was talking to Flacco, and there was talks of him coming out of retirement to play quarterback, and there's been joking rumors of Tom Brady coming back out to play for the Dolphins, and you get all those fun rumors and stuff. But I hope that we can see a downswing and our fantasy teams can kind of recover from the injury bug that has just decimated the NFL right now.
The only other time I can recall injuries like this is last year, and it was solely at the quarterback position. Last year, I think there was like 50 different starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I may be wrong with 50, but there was
a lot.
40s at least.
There was a lot.
I mean, the Browns had 5 of them by themselves. So, yeah, definitely injuries continue to be a worry. It's good
66
about Rashee Rice, at least. Fish, I know you mentioned that earlier when we were talking. I didn't hear his injury news, but hopefully it's just a minor repair and he's able to come back. But I know you said he's likely out for the year. Hopefully it's not like a complete tear or anything, though.
No, but Juju stepped in and did fairly well this past week. So, I mean, they're not going to rush him back, especially if he's playing as well as he is right now. And Patty Mahomes is going to be Patty Mahomes. So.
Now the Chiefs are deep. They'll give him time to recover. And it was 66 quarterbacks recorded to start in the NFL in 2023. Yeah.
So I undershot it. And I felt like I overshot it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry I got a little negative there. I know I'm passionate about my team, and when we seem like we're so disjointed, it just sucks to watch when we have all this talent. But anyways, let's move on to some more positive outlooks for week 6. The last 2 weeks we've picked some pretty good games, and I think we have some pretty good games on the docket now as well. So let's just do these in order of how they're going to play out. So Zoltowski, that means you are first here with your Saturday night game.
Saturday night, number 2 versus number 3, OSU at Oregon. I'm excited for this game because, one, I want OSU to lose, because, that's just a given. But 2, anytime, you have 2 top 5 teams playing is always fun. I really think this is Oregon's true welcome to the Big Ten. They played Michigan State. Michigan State's been kind of mediocre the past couple of years. OSU's played on the road. I know they have a really, really good run game. You've got Trayvon Henderson and what is it? Quinion Johnson, I think is the other running back. Is his name?
Yeah, I forget his first name. His last name is Johnson, though. Yeah,
Johnson. Yeah, I think it's Quinion. And Oregon, if you look at when they played Boise State, and I mean Ashton Genty is just a different animal.
The kid's a dog.
Hey, dude, I mean, insane. He's averaging over 10 yards a carry. His odds. I'm sorry, quick sidebar here on the betting side, but his odds to score a touchdown in his game this past weekend was plus 4,000. He scored on the first play. It was like a 70-yard touchdown.
Was it just because they were playing Oregon?
No. They played Oregon 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, negative 4,000. So like it was guaranteed. Gotcha, I went the other way with it. No, yeah. He is insane.
I wish I seen that one.
Yeah, and then but Oregon has struggled with the run. OSU has a really good run defense. But this game has college football implications, Big Ten championship game implications. There's a lot come out of this game. It's number 2, number 3, Saturday night game in Eugene. OSU's got to go on the road and play a good Oregon team. So I'm just excited to watch it. Like I said, I'm hoping for an OSU, but I think this is going to be a battle. But I think OSU honestly might run it all over them, as much as I hate to admit that.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one for sure. It's going to make or break game for Ohio State. They haven't really played anyone yet this year, which is pretty par for the course for Ohio State. But
yeah,
this is definitely going to be a wake up game for them, I believe. So
yeah, their first big game was Iowa.
Yeah, which Iowa's not even close to Oregon.
No.
So that's a great pick, Zoltowski, for this week. And Fish, yours is a night game, which I am interested to hear what you have to say.
Yes.
The Washington,
Oh, no, sorry. You're going to go. No, go ahead. You go ahead. Washington. Yeah.
My game is Washington, Baltimore. It's at 1:00 on Sunday. The reason I picked this game is because of the dynamic quarterback play that we should see from Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson. The early line for this, and this was Monday when I wrote this down, the Ravens were 6.5-point favorites at home. The early over-under total scoring is 51.5 for both teams combined. And I think this is going to have all the makings for a high-scoring shootout. I mean, you look at what Jaden Daniels has done throughout the year. He has had only 4 touchdowns throwing, 2 interceptions, but he also has added 4 rushing touchdowns. He has completed 77% of his passes.
That's insane.
Yeah, he's had 57 carries for 300 yards, and he has 1,135 passing yards with an 8.7 average or yard per attempt average on the year. And he's only been sacked 12 times throughout the year. As good as Jaden Daniels has been playing, which has been, I think we all can agree, lights out. And, he reminds me a lot of the guy he's going up against in this upcoming matchup, Lamar Jackson. What Lamar has done is nothing short of impeccable himself. He's 95 for 150 with a 65.3% completion percentage. So he has thrown more balls, but he's not completed quite as many as Jaden Daniels has. He does have 9 touchdowns for the year, 2 rushing touchdowns with 1 interception on the year. He does have just a shade more yards at 1,205 with 8 yards per attempt, and he's run the ball 53 times for 636 yards at 6.8 yard average. I talk about the quarterback play just to also give a shout out to both running games on these teams. Brian Robinson has been great this year. They've also implemented Austin Eckler a little bit, and Jaden McNichols. He's been pretty good this year as well. And then obviously you have Derrick Henry on the other side, as well as Justice Hill. They've been balling out pretty well for the Ravens running game. Then you add in the quarterback rushing to that. It's just a lot of offensive production. And then you look at the teams as a total. The Commanders are in a 4-game winning streak with a .40 or 40 plus point differential on the year. They have the number 1 points in the league at 155, and then 115 points against, which is the 12th worst. The Ravens are in a 3-game winning streak with a plus 21 point differential. They're number 2 in points to the in the league, so just second to the Commanders at 147 points. And then their defense has allowed 126 points, which is the 7th worst. So you look at that, you see their defenses get scored on quite a bit. The bottom third of the league for both of those defenses, mixed with these very high production offenses. I think that's going to be a really exciting game to watch, and one I'm going to keep an eye on while I'm watching the Philly and Cleveland game with Fish on Sunday, and Zoltowski will be there. But I just said
Yeah.
Fish because that's our team. So we're playing each other this week, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will take away the W. So just
I highly doubt it.
take the phone away from me. It's gonna get bad. So
It's going to be which team can shoot themselves in the foot the most.
honestly, it's gonna
Honestly,
Probably in Cleveland.
We'll
So-
tie.
Yeah.
We'll tie.
But Fish, you took the team that the Ravens played against last week. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your game for, is it Sunday Night Football or Monday night?
It is Sunday night football. Cincinnati, obviously, playing against the Giants at the Giants. Bengals offense seems to be finally clicking. We know that there's a trend the last few years that they start out slow. Last week and the week before, it looks like they have finally taken off. Giants also riding the hot streak right now. Back-to-back wins against two tough opponents, and I hate to say it. Dallas being one of them. They beat the hell out of Dallas, which is great. And then they just took down Geno in Seattle. So they're really locked up DK over there on the
they did.
The outside there.
I felt
great.
that one.
Just some fun facts here for the Bengals offense. Chase, the last couple of weeks, is kind of showing us why he should get paid. Nutter had said it earlier, but he had 10 receptions on 12 targets for 193 yards. Just kind of want to reiterate the 2 touchdowns as well. But Burrow has been kind of playing lights out as well. 30 for 39 for 392, 5 touchdowns and a pick against the stout Ravens defense that has seemed to kind of been crumbling as of lately. But honestly, you got to let both Chases eat. Jamar Chase and then Chase Brown. Back-to-back weeks, 15-plus fantasy points, which is fantastic. Running the ball as well as he can, given the opportunities. He is eating more into Zach Moss's share, which for fantasy managers, that's fantastic. A lot of us took the risk getting him, picking him up off of waivers, drafting him as a rookie, whatever it may be, dashing him for now. It seems like he is kind of running the offense, a good pass catching back as well. But we mentioned it earlier, he runs hard. Zach Moss has had a few latent injuries, kind of banged up a little bit. We saw him with the Colts, what he could do. I thought it was a fluke. He hasn't really performed to the Colts standard that he did last year. But it's good news for us. Chase seems to be doing just fine handling the reins and hopefully gets more opportunities going forward. Higgins, welcome back. 9 receptions on 14 targets for 83 yards and 2 tutties. Obviously, the Bengals offense missed him and that massive threat over on the opposite side of Chase. So it takes a lot of the focus off of Chase there so he can do his thing and just simply run around the field. A little fantasy fun fact for everybody here. If you are a fantasy manager, and I know I've seen a lot of teams kind of pop up on Twitter and such like that, where they'll draft their home and native team to try and get as many players from the Eagles or the Browns or the Lions as they can. So here's my fun fact. If you had Higgins, Jamar Chase, Burrow, and Chase Brown combined from just those 4 players, they put up 123.28 fantasy points. Honestly, if you had the combo of Chase and Burrow, which I played against, congrats on your win, Keish. It is a terrifying offense to play against. And sadly, I know for Nut's sake, they are clicking. And it's very, very unfortunate now that the Steelers kind of, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They're struggling just a bit. Ravens are hot on offense. That defense is kind of a little shaky now. Browns I think they've been demoted, relegated to college now. So that division there, it's anyone taking. And if Cincinnati keeps playing, obviously they took the loss this week. But that offense stays hot. Their defense can just be a little bit above average, just a little better. They'll be in decent shape. Now, on to the Giants aspect, though. Again, Giants riding a 2 back-to-back win streak. I hate to see it, but I love that they beat Dallas. They also beat a tough Seattle team, too. Danny is playing a lot smarter the last few weeks, even without Neighbors, being an injury there. He had no issues from Darius Slayton, who caught 8 receptions on 11 targets for 122 yards and a touchdown. And honestly, the run game, no Singletary, no problem. Tyrone Tracy, the rookie, 18 on the ground for 129. That offense stays hot. Their defense has improved just a little bit. Again, I don't know if it's a morale thing, but that's my game of the week. Cincinnati desperately needs to win this one to stay relevant within that division and to keep momentum going. And the Giants are obviously, if they're going to ride that hot streak, this is almost a don't take the Giants. Kind of we've seen it all in college with Bama and Vanderbilt and stuff. Don't mess around with the possible win. Don't take the Giants for a grain of salt on that one. They are a tough team, especially if Danny plays better. Neighbors coming back from injury, concussion, I think. That offense could look scary, especially if Singletary does come back or if he doesn't. It seems like Tyrone Tracy had a hell of a game as a rookie, really taking the reins there. So that's my game of the week, Cincinnati Giants, 8:20, I think, for Sunday night.
So you mentioned there Daniel Jones. He's been playing well. I have one question for you boys. Are we ready to say Daniel Jones is not double ass?
No, we've been saying that.
Yeah.
He's been upgraded to ass when he beat Dallas.
Are we willing to say Daniel Jones belongs in the mid tier where we put him?
If
in our preseason quarterback tier list?
If he beats Cincinnati, I think we need to open up that conversation. Now, if Danny goes to playing Danny and throws 28 picks, essentially to the guy that's not wearing the same jersey as him, and then they run it into the end zone, I don't know. If he beats Cincinnati, because Cincinnati's not a joke. The defense is, but if the offense puts up 30-plus points a game, if they're clicking, it's going to be extremely hard to try and guard Chase and then Brown out of the backfield. Moss is also essentially a little bit older of a Brown back there with the dual threat that they have. And then they have Higgins, a massive human who could win a jump ball in the end zone, who was clearly an end zone threat last week. If they lock any of those players down, it could be a problem. And I think we may have to look into the conversation and open up and just say, Danny Dimes might not be ass. He might be decent.
We may have to revisit our tier list and maybe post another one.
Yeah, we'll have to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Halfway through for sure. But
a mid-season.
Maybe we'll do it now, then we'll do a mid-season, then 3 quarters, and at the end of the year we can reevaluate everything.
That'd be good. Danny Dimes is not playing up to what his contract is worth, though. I'm just going to say that. Absolutely not. But there are improvements. He is playing smarter. Neighbors, is a freak athlete. Even with him missing, it didn't seem like they lost a step. So I'm glad Darius Slayton kind of filled that gap there. We haven't talked about him. He hasn't been relevant in years, unfortunately, being a receiver for Danny Dimes. But it's good to see him balling out there as that wide receiver one while Neighbors was out. So that's all I'm going to say about Danny Dimes and Giants. So
yeah, I did want to say one thing about Chase Brown. It's funny, these teams like the Bengals and the Buccaneers, they have this young back that just looks so much better. They pass the eye test so much more than the running back that has the starting job on their teams. So Chase Brown just looks way better than Zach Moss does, and then Bucky Irving looks so much better than Rachaad White does when they play
really good
on Sundays. So
yeah.
Which honestly, they might be doing the same thing that a lot of these young quarterbacks, when they get drafted, they might just let them sit back a year, soak in all that veteran knowledge, let this other guy get banged up for a little bit, and then they're not rushing them in, which that could be a possible thing. Obviously with Bucky, it's just playing out of his mind, but why isn't he taking the lead role, right? Same thing with Brown. Why has he not taken? They're both of them are getting a lot more opportunities, which is fantastic, but they're not just throwing them into the offense. Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a change of pace thing. Like, you got Zach Moss. Now, he's not very big, but he's definitely more of the bruising back. And then you just put Chase Brown in, and he's more of the explosive, elusive, let me make a cut, get downfield kind of back like Bucky Irving is. So it's just kind of funny that you see those parallels throughout the league.
That's definitely something to look at.
I think they all want to be like the Ravens and the Lions, and they just don't have the mojo to do so. So
I don't have that David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs
I mean, that's
swag going on.
that's a tough thing to try and replicate for any team, honestly.
I love it.
We could. I mean, we got both those back into one and Saquon Barkley, but we just don't have an offense to do anything with.
Just give him the ball.
We can't give him the ball enough. So
Kenny Gainwell's pretty good.
I hate that guy.
You know what he's good for?
Will Shipley should just
tush push. That way, Saquon doesn't get hurt.
No, God, I just can't. I can't do my rant again. I can't do it. I'm gonna lose sleep over it. So.
Oh no, good.
That's why I committed to my rant this week, and I'm not doing it again.
Oh, I could listen to another Fish Eagles rant though. This is a good time.
You'll hear it Sunday, and I'll be very loud about it. So.
Oh, but no, that's a great pick, Fish. I think, I think we do. If Danny comes out and actually does throw some dimes and they beat the Bengals, I think that conversation is definitely on the table. Does he get upgraded?
Yeah, I mean the Bengals record right now is.
I don't think it reflects.
What they're capable of doing, what they're doing right now. So again,
they should have beat the Ravens.
Oh, 100%.
That sequence of play calling in overtime by Zach Taylor, that was the worst play calling I think I've ever seen in overtime. Like, how are you that conservative? Now, it doesn't really matter how conservative he was because the punter unfortunately messed up the hold, but I mean, why not try and push the ball a little bit down the field? Why run it 3 times? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you've got these. It's like Fish said. You got these guys that can go up and make these catches. Fucking throw a ball up there. See if they can bring it down.
Let your best players eat.
Yep.
And there was just not an opportunity to give your best players the best possible outcome. So.
Ravens corners are not very good.
No,
I mean, their safeties are pretty good. Kyle Hamilton, and then I forget the name of the other kid, unfortunately. But Marlon Humphrey has been pretty much a liability this year. He's played pretty poorly, so I would have attacked that. At least try it once. I mean, try and get maybe 10, 20 yards before you make attempt a 50-something yard field goal.
I mean, you could easily give it to Chase on a little slant route. I mean, he's so elusive and quick. He could have gotten that yardage, no problem. But again, we're not coaches. We don't understand what's going on or know what's going on behind the scenes, but that's my game of the week. It on paper doesn't look to be so pretty, but I think it'll be a decent game. Could be a possible shootout, especially with how poorly the Bengals defense is going right now, but how hot their offensive is. And then obviously the Giants riding that win streak. So that's what I got going on for this week for my game of the week.
Yeah, and I'll get all these graphics updated and posted tomorrow, both on Twitter and Instagram. I apologize. It must have just skipped my mind not to post anything on Instagram this last week, but we will definitely remedy that in the future. I'll make sure I post those going forward. But now we are going into our closing topic of the night, our draft. This one is a little bit different. This is an idea from one of our listeners. She's also one of the wives on the show, Liz.
Shout out
Liz. Married to Zach here. It seemed like a really fun idea, especially because this is our first draft in October. Recording in October, I should say, and really kind of like kicking off the spooky season. We already had our Halloween party. We did say that, but so what we have is a draft where we're going to draft a zombie apocalypse squad. And I did come up with some rules for this draft. And you guys can adhere to the last 3 of these. You don't really have to. The biggest one I have is the first rule here. So for the first rule, have only one character, and this is just TV, movies, anything like that going forward. So have only one character with superpowers. Keep in mind, if they do get bit, they become a zombified version of that superpowered character. So you will have to fight that character. You can also, the second stipulation here is pick one character tied to a vehicle for you to get around. So this is going to be your mode of transport. The third rule here is pick one female character. And then the last rule is pick one animal character. So, that gives us all 4 picks if we want to adhere to that. Are you guys good with adhering to those rules, or?
Yes, sir.
I'm here for it.
All right, awesome. So let's do our randomizer. And I have Fish is first.
Yes, sir. We
I
love
am
it.
second, and Zoltowski is third. So, Fish, who is your 1-1 here for the zombie? Build your zombie apocalypse squad.
My 1-1. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, oh, he's definitely going to go Goku, right? That would just be the obvious choice. I'm actually going to flip it, though. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in reverse. Give me Magneto as 1-1, please.
Oh.
And just for the simple fact, in the movie where he is just, and actually in both movies, he's levitating, and he's got all the metal around him. He controls any of the metal around. If he could just build me a massive dome and keep all the zombies out, he doesn't get bit, I don't get bit. We just live on this plot of land. Obviously, it rains, whatever it may be. We can do all kinds of crazy cool things to keep us, one, protected, and then develop a new city, a new era. And of course, any survivors that are left over, if they're hostile, whatever it may be, it's going to be pretty tough to get through 40 feet of steel. So, I mean, we could pick it up from New York or Chicago, wherever, Cincinnati, pick up all that steel and just bring it with us. And technically, we're just walking on metal. That's something that the zombies cannot get to us. So Magneto 1-1 had to pivot from old Goku, because I feel like he would just try and fight everything and get bit, and then I'm just chalked. So Magneto's 1-1.
That's a great pick. I didn't even think of that.
That's a really good
You can just
pick.
take out waves of zombies too. With
Well, we can put it on a platform,
steel pillar or something like that.
Like an arc, dude. We could just build up in the sky. How crazy cool would that be?
It's a great pick. So my first pick, drafted in the second spot. Fish already took his superpower character. So I think I'm going to pivot off my superpower character, because I really don't think Zoltowski's going to take this guy.
Well, now you know it's a guy, Zoltowski.
Oh.
Or is it? Who knows?
I don't know.
You decide.
You take Reinhardt, Venture.
I'm actually going to take my mode of transport character first. I'm going to take Nick Fury. And Nick Fury pilots the helicarrier from the Avengers. And we're just going to live in the air and be happy and not have to worry about zombies at all.
Oh, that's a good
crazy.
pick.
Crazy Magneto's taking that down quick. So
we're not fighting each other. This is us versus zombies. So we're not fighting each other.
Yeah, definitely. If I see you in the air, I'd be like, yo, come on, take it out real quick,
Turn on the cloaking device, man.
That's it.
Savage.
Or we can work together, and when I inevitably run out of fuel, you guys can come up and Magneto can just lift the ship.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, you're gonna have to pay us compensation, but it's a team thing here. So
yeah, we got food and stuff.
Bring some crops. I'm gonna have a bunch of crops. So let me pick Stamper, because we need somebody just to handle the crops and stuff. So.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
And
man,
mortar and pestle.
Jesus.
Zoltowski, what's your pick here at the turn?
So I am also, because I get 2 in a row here, I am also mode of transport character first. And I hope you guys like this one, because I'm going to go with Optimus Prime from Transformers.
Nutter and I was talking about this yesterday.
It's so funny.
That's great. That's a great pick.
I mean, like, because here's the thing, one, he can just stomp. He's a Transformer. He'd be a car, or he's just a giant robot that's got ion weapons. So I'm just blowing the zombies away, and I'm just going to have a big semi-trailer that's turned into a survival shelter, and I'm on wheels.
I mean, honestly, he can't even get bit because he's just pure metal.
Exactly.
So
he's immune.
The funny thing is, Fish and I were playing Fortnite last night, and I think this is after you got off. And he had a question about the draft, and he was asking about the vehicle section specifically, and I did mention, my first thought was Optimus Prime because he's kind of a 2-for-1. He can turn into a giant semi, and we can all just ride in the trailer.
Yep.
Or so that's funny you picked Optimus Prime.
I mean,
that's a great pick, dude.
I was between him and Megatron because he turns into a jet.
Yeah,
and also turns into a tank.
He's gonna be evil, 1000%.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go with
Magneto. Got to come over.
Gotta go with the heroes, man.
Yeah, got to go with the heroes.
Except for Magneto.
Then, okay, so does he count as my superhero?
See, we talked about that too. I mean, technically he's a vehicle, but
technically he's a vehicle. He's not. I don't really classify him as a superhero. He's just kind of like
he's a machine. Yeah, he's a machine.
Yeah.
So then with my second pick, I'm gonna go with Master Chief from the Halo series because 1, armored super soldier, he's not getting infected, and 2, he's already fought off a zombie-like race in the Flood, and it doesn't matter whether he has ammo or not, he's gonna punch everything to death.
True.
Is this your superhero character?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be my superhero character.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I
like that one.
Okay. Yeah, Nut, you're up.
All right, so for my second one, since you both took your hero or your super character, I'm going to leave mine till the end of the draft. And I think I'm going to go with... who do I go with? Stand by. I'm thinking.
Yeah, shocked.
I'm going to go with my female character. You guys might not like this pick. I'm not sure how much you watch the show. But I'm going to go with Carol from The Walking Dead. Carol, she was a absolute beast in that show. In the later time, she eventually just homesteaded by herself. She was able to take care of herself, take out zombies by herself. She's a great shot. She's great at hand-to-hand combat. There's not a character that went through more, I don't think, in the Walking Dead TV show. I'm not sure about the comics. I haven't really read them, but Carol's definitely going to be my pick there for my female character.
Yeah, that's not bad of a pick. Not too bad. Not too bad.
I've only seen till season 3, but even in those early seasons, she was kind of a badass.
Yeah, the first season she went through a lot of character development, I'll say.
Yeah.
So Carol is my pick for sure.
All right, so over to me. So I get 2 back-to-back. So let's go ahead and go with my vehicle, my transportation. I'm going to go ahead and pick. Now, this guy is just a badass in all 3 of his movies. He's got a voice that could honestly put anyone to sleep. He's a bit of a badass. He's kind of bald. I'm going to go ahead and go with Jason Statham from Transporter, please.
Ooh.
The way he maneuvers in that car, I mean, it's top tier. Plus, if he needs to, he can get out and do a little hand-to-hand combat. And then he's got a fresh suit in the trunk. So, Jason Statham. And plus, I mean, honestly, sitting there talking to Magneto and Jason. I mean, damn. I'm just we're here. We're hanging out in our massive dome with all of our crops, and he's got his. Go ahead.
You might end up turning British.
I mean, honestly, I think low-key it's been a possible dream of mine. So. We're getting there. I watch enough British TV to go from there. So, but that's got to be my second pick there, Jason Statham. And now on the back end here, I'm going to go ahead and pick my female character. She is also a bit of a badass. I'm just surprised. This old task. I'm surprised you haven't really picked your female character. So I'll go ahead and pick this one. She's got several franchise, literally about zombies. And surviving. Ilya Jovovich, give me Alice from Resident Evil.
Okay.
An absolute hand-to-hand combat badass, plus, just an amazing actress, first off. That entire chain. I was actually watching the first one today at lunch, and it just the way that they avoid hordes and hordes of zombies, the way that she backflips, kicks, shoots. I mean, she's deadly accurate. That's got to be the perfect female character to pick alongside with you for a zombie apocalypse. So that's my third pick.
Oh, it's a good pick.
It's a damn good pick.
It's a great pick, yeah.
I thought you were about to steal one from me.
Nah, well, I don't know. It depends. You're not going to
Yep.
pick another Carol from Walking Dead, are you?
Well, you'll see.
Carol's a fine pick.
Yeah, I mean, fine. Alice is great,
I
but
never saw movies,
you don't
so-
watch horror movies. You only watch PG-13 and lower. So I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. Nut, who you got in your third?
For my next pick, I think I'm going to go with my super. This one may be a little out there for you guys, but I really don't think that there's a chance he gets bit at all. I'm going to go with another guy from X-Men, and it's just based off of elusiveness alone. I'm going to go with the Nightcrawler.
Yep, he was on my list. That's for sure.
You know, we get into a hairy situation when we're trying to get supplies. He's just going to teleport us back up to Nick Fury's helicarrier, and he can teleport anyone he touches. So we're just all going to make sure we're tied together at the waist by rope or something, kind of like only up, and he's just going to take us back up. So
That's
Nightcrawler from the X-Men.
Pretty good. I like it. I like it. It's a good
Very
pick. He was on my list for sure. And then I was like, oh, Magneto. Duh. Easy.
Right, yeah. Zoltowski,
Right.
you were at the turn here. You have your female and your animal character.
All right, last two picks for me here. So we'll go with the female one first. Also gonna go from the Resident Evil franchise,
Ooh.
but I'm gonna go from the video game side. And I'm gonna go with Jill Valentine.
Yes. Either that or going to be Ada Wong. Either or.
I was thinking Ada, but she's like, you don't really know if she's good or bad, and I don't. She's for her, and I don't want to risk getting screwed over. Where Jill's a good guy.
She's never there anyway. She just like dips in and out.
Yep.
So no, I get it. It was a good pick. Solid pick.
Yeah,
I'm glad you picked someone from a zombie game movie franchise. That makes total sense. Good pick there.
That was a great pick. And then for my animal character, I'm going to go with Pegasus from Hercules.
Dude, there's no freaking way.
Oh, let's go. Just
you.
the mobility, man.
Oh, I should have taken my animal character.
You should have. Yeah, that's what happens. You let the king of stealing over here just have free reign, and I'm going to take it from you.
That is a great pick.
Uh-huh.
I got a pretty good list. I'm not going to lie.
It's a winged horse. I mean, there's no argument there. How upset Nutter was about me stealing him says it all.
It's because he's in the top 2 picks of my animal draft or my animal picks for sure.
Favorite Disney movie, by the way, is
number
Hercules.
2, I will say.
So, well, let's hear your number 1 then for your animal with your last pick.
My number 1, he's big enough to ride at least a few people, which our team only has 3 people.
I know who.
Do you?
I think I do.
Why don't you type it in the doc and I will let you know if you're correct in my spot here. Oh no, that's a good pick.
That's a good one too.
That is not my guy.
Okay, all right, good. I got mine.
Dang, I kind of want to pivot to that though. The animal pick I'm taking is going to be none other than Drogon from the Game of Thrones.
I've never seen it, so
this is spoiler alert. This is the last of Daenerys's 3 dragons that live. He is an absolute dog. Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Where's that voice crack at? The counter.
Sorry, I had
wait for it.
I need to take a drink.
You're getting choked up because you picked Pegasus.
Honestly, I think so. But
He had to pivot. Let's
Yep.
be honest. Pegasus was number one.
yeah, Drogon's my number one. You talk about a being that can take out just waves of zombies. He can just, fly above wherever we're trying to raid or wherever we're trying to get supplies and just start setting them on fire. Now, I know fire doesn't kill zombies, but it does make them a lot slower. It makes them, deteriorate to the point where they're just kind of a ball of, screaming corpses. So I will take Drogon as my final pick here.
That's a good one. That's a good
That's
pick.
a good one.
Crazy situations. So
These are great animal picks. Very well done.
I'm very happy with the animal picks so far. Fish,
I already know what it is.
who's your
but
final pick? Is it going to be the guy?
It is going to be him. It is going to be him. My last pick to really close it out. Got to be Appa from the Last Airbender. A massive flying bison that is also cute and cuddly. Talk about the warmth alone. We could just hang out. Everybody just sits on top of Appa. He can, if Magneto gets tired of like carrying us places, we could just simply fly wherever. Alice can do her drop into the roof, get all the supplies, fly back up type thing. So, and Jason is obviously he's just there simply just to talk to us, and bench press anything within the dome that we have being built. So Appa's got to be the flying animal. I thought about going to Fox, and I was like, yeah, Appa makes sense. So that's my last pick. Appa, Last Airbender.
That's a great pick.
That's a really these animal picks on point.
Yeah,
Appa wasn't on my list, but I kind of wish he was. So that's a great pick.
That's good. I kind of Zoltowski. You want to trade?
It's pretty even trade. Actually, yours might be better because he has airbending.
I mean, he's got a little bit. But Pegasus, I do love Pegasus.
Dude,
where you going?
Pegasus is a great one.
The only thing I'll say about Pegasus is it's going to be pretty hard to get Master Chief and you both on the back of Pegasus.
That is a tight fit.
But that's the thing is I don't need to put Master Chief on there. He's in a suit of armor, man.
That's true.
So you're just gonna fly 400 miles and then you're just gonna walk
I'm
there?
gonna be no Optimus. I don't need to drive Optimus Prime. I can scout with Pegasus. You're gonna tell me that this horse made by the gods is not going to be able to carry my big ass. I don't care.
Honestly, I would like to look that up. I think there might be a weight limit.
Okay, you know what?
I'd like to look up his carry weight.
I don't know, dude. We've seen those videos of like people getting on those little ponies. Next thing you know, the pony's sprawled out on the floor. I'm just saying, Appa, no weight limit, none.
Drogon, no weight limit.
No weight limit. We planned ahead, really.
We did.
Now,
also, don't know if you guys know, Drogon breathes fire.
I mean, that's pretty cool. But does Zoltowski get baby Pegasus? Could you imagine him? It's like the caterpillar in Bug's Life with the little wings. He gets a little Pegasus.
I'm a beautiful butterfly.
And then Zoltowski's just riding on top. I would pay to see that. So with Magneto and Jason.
I'm only saying he doesn't get baby Pegasus because I don't want baby Drogon. I want full grown, full ass Drogon that can carry everybody on my team.
These were good picks, boys. This was a good one.
Good one. Yeah, I was really not sure how this draft would work, but I think that was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. Spooky stuff. It was just good. I like that. It was a good time.
Good job, Liz.
Good pick, babe.
Yeah, good job, Liz.
No way.
You guys have any honorable mentions at all?
I mean, Goku. Fish said it.
Goku. For a driver, you could put Mr. Family, Dom Toretto.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That would have been cool, but I feel like he would get just like annoying. That's why Jason would be the better pick. So
yeah,
Dom was on my short list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a plethora of things. So
what vehicle is Jason going to drive though?
Honestly, we're going to stop while we're either going to take Magneto or we're obviously going to take Magneto, but we would fly Appa to a dealership and go, Jason, what car do you want? And then Magneto just kind of like lifts it up and then brings it back to us. So I plan on having several cars and possibly a racetrack that we could all hang out and practice on. So Thanks to Magneto, all the dreams are possible.
One of my
It's
if
got to
you
be an
count
Audi,
this-
though. Got to be an Audi.
yeah, as an animal was Chewy.
Oh yeah.
That was
I don't know if you
on,
can count
on
that.
my
He's-
list. Yeah, he's more human, or honestly, like any Pokemon.
Yeah, I did think about the Pokemon for sure.
I'm surprised you didn't go Snorlax. How cool would that be?
But a zombie
I mean, it'd be
Snorlax.
cool, but like, what's Snorlax gonna do for me? Sleep?
Look-alike?
Okay, dude.
Dude, you
It's
sleep like
completely-
them. Remember the sleepovers we used to have when we were younger?
No, don't
Dude,
remember.
we used to play the poker flute all the time, and just not. You would wake up. You were a bear
sure.
kid. We couldn't get upstairs.
I try to eliminate dark times in my life.
Oof.
You don't remember? You don't remember the roost at 3 a.m?
I do remember that. That was a good time.
A lot of good
Jesus.
times. A lot of
Oh,
good times.
man.
We should do a story time on the podcast,
We should.
but it'll be a
That was-
6-hour long podcast.
We'll save that for after the season.
Yeah,
We're gonna have
for
to get
sure.
creative, so
Yeah, that'd be good. I'll have to shorten my stories.
just a little bit. Or since we'll be on simulcast, you can talk with your hands. Maybe that'll entertain the people a little bit.
What's
I mean,
wrong with
we'll
talking with your
definitely-
hands?
I mean, I talk with my hands a lot.
I do
get
too.
animated when I get pissed, and
Nothing's wrong with it, but Fish can't not talk with his hands.
no, it's
The same way Liz yells at me all the time.
You
Well, you
put
talk
Fish
with
in
your
a
hands.
straight jacket, he's mute.
I just don't know what to do. I mean, I was kind of in a straitjacket when I got my massage. I mean, the guy tucked me in, folded me like a pretzel. I didn't know what was happening.
Were you scared?
I was a little nervous.
Yeah, I can't believe you got a massage by Lou Ferrigno. That's pretty cool.
It was Lou Ferrigno on steroids, and then
Lou
more
Ferrigno?
steroids. Yeah, it was double the steroids of Lou Ferrigno.
You sin.
Overroided up Ferrigno. Gotta love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's episode 10. Thank you, everyone who's listened. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully, you listened to the end of that. That was a really fun draft.
That was a really fun one. That was probably
that was
one of
a
my favorites.
great
to be honest.
draft.
Yeah,
yeah.
that was fun for sure. We'll have to pick another spooky themed one for next time.
Good pick,
Um,
Liz.
Good job, Liz. Shout out to you again. Liz, you have anything to talk about before we close?
I'm just happy belated Andy. Finally had her birthday this past weekend, so good celebration. So
Yep, Andy,
on to
happy
the next
birthday for
Happy
sure.
birthday, Andy. Belated birthday, that is.
Yeah, belated.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. That is the show. You'll hear from us again next Wednesday. Tell your friends about us. I did get a mock-up hat made. I'll post a picture of that on Twitter. It's of our original logo, but you can kind of get a sense of what that'll look like. But as always, always say GG. Thanks for being a gent. See you guys.
See you next
hey
week.
guys, see you next week. Bye.